Thief Life Simulator. I was scrolling through the new releases when this game got my attention. Not because I was interested in it, but because it looked very familiar. I looked at the screenshots and it looked just like the Thief Simulator 2023 from Crook to Boss. A game that was so broken they had to pull it off the eShop. I had a haunting suspicion that this was the same game, just renamed and re-released. I put up a poll on X to see if you guys thought I should try it out, and most people wanted me to do it, so I bought it, and yep, it's the same game, only with one twist. It actually works! It took 2 years, but they finally made it so you could access 4 of the properties which were broken before. I was able to play this fully, and the gameplay is still confoundingly baffling on its execution, as it was before. It was frustrating, they did nothing to fix any of the quality of life issues, but we'll get to that. I am in a very unique position. I own both of these versions, the broken one from 2023 and now this one. So I'm going to go over what's been changed and what has strangely stayed the same. There will be an indication on the bottom right of your screen to show you which version you're currently looking at, because they do look very similar, but there is a little bit of a difference. I do wonder why I actually had to buy it twice. It's the same game. Shouldn't I own this game already and just have an update to it? And I actually paid twice as much as I did originally. It's bullshit. Now before I start, I do want to make a couple corrections to my review of the 2023 version, because I replayed it for this review. It's still a broken mess, that has not changed. However, playing the new release, it actually helped me figure out how to use the flashlight in the older version. You have to turn it on in the menu, because if they can make it complicated, they're going to do it. So the flashlight does work in that game. Also, there was a whole section that I didn't see when I was robbing the motorhome, which I thought was new to the current release, but I went back and saw it was there too. There's a supermarket you can break into, and I just never noticed it. And I don't know how, it's huge! But to be fair though, it has the same random items as the motorhome, just more in quantity. This game is a dumbed down version of the Thief Simulator series. I loved that game when I could actually play it, as the game crashed a lot on the Switch. I loved that it had an open world, and you had the freedom to rob any house, which was great. There's no open world in this one. You have to pick which one you want to rob at the beginning, and you have a limited amount of time and you can't hide. They give you a thief watch, which seems like a stupid thing to have on your person if you get caught. The story behind this is that you're a thief who breaks into an apartment looking for a thief. And yes, they still have not fixed any of the spelling mistakes from the previous game. They've had 2 years to fix this, and I guess they've just spent their time fixing the advanced lockpicks, which was the main problem of the previous version. After you unlock the thief, the police will show up and arrest you, but your partner gets away. 5 years later, you get out of jail, and your partner, who feels bad that you got caught, helps you out by scouting out properties and puts up a board with notes of places and when the residents would be gone. It's lucky that everyone is on such a strict schedule, and it's always at night. Why are people leaving their house every day for 2 hours in the middle of the night? Who does that? All of the issues from the previous release are still here. You still have to pick from a board every f***ing time. Why not pull up a list from the car to speed things up? You also have a very limited space in your backpack, and your tools take up a spot, so you might not want to take a flashlight with you, since it takes up a space. You're going to need your lockpicks, so often you only have 3 to 4 spaces to put in stolen items. Most games would have a separate inventory for tools, but this game wants to slow you down a lot, so they can stretch out the gameplay as much as possible because there's only 6 places to rob. Since I replayed the previous game to see the differences in the release, I noticed that they actually made it easier to see in the dark this time around, so the flashlight isn't as needed, but it is helpful. Playing the original release, it was startling to see how dark it was. The supermarket, which I never went into when I first played it, was so dark, but everything that would be stolen would just light up, so you're just stumbling around clicking on items in that game. In the re-release, you can see the shelves, and it's much more manageable. The vehicle that you have will have a small inventory space as well, and it will get larger as you change vehicles based on the skill tree. As you steal new items, your thief level will increase when you sell it to the local pawn shop. That's the whole point of robbing these places, to get your thief level up. The problem is the only items that count towards leveling up and getting skill points will be items that you've not stolen before. The game will give you no indications in the moment on the items that you've gotten before, so you'll never know if it's a repeat item until you get to the pawn shop. So you kind of have to remember, have I stolen that case of beer, computer, or clock before? And having to do it that way really sucks. It gets even worse when you find vases, and there are about 12 of them, and they're just labeled vase 1, vase 2. And the same goes for the paintings. The items are randomly put in the houses for the most part, so getting new items will mostly be up to luck. When you get to the pawn shop, they actually have indications by the item's name if it's been stolen before. It has an exclamation mark by it. So why don't they have that indication when you're holding it, so you'll know if you need to drop it or not? Once again, you still have to be careful not to sell your own tools, because since they carry it in your inventory slots, the game assumes it's something you want to get rid of. And this is all you do: upgrade your thief skill tree so you can get more complex lockpicks, more room in your backpack, or a new vehicle. I did like that they fixed the complex lockpick, and they actually slowed it down to make it easier to do. Thank goodness for that. I mean, look at the difference in speed here. This one's way more manageable. So the gameplay loop is this: you pick a house, break in, grab a few items, then sell it. Then you pick a house and do it all over again. There is no ongoing story, nor does the game care where you choose to go. I still think it's a cheat to have 3 places that you rob in the same complex. This time around, I decided to look around and see if I could actually break the game. I found that I could break out of the pawn shop and our hideout. How did I break out? Very simple. I used a propane tank. It was the perfect step stool. I jumped on the roof of the pawn shop and I fell right through the shop itself. So there is no collision up there. When I got into an area I wasn't supposed to go, this happened. What is wrong with your body? Your head is on backwards. It turns out the pawn shop salesman will always be watching you, no matter where you are, even if it means he has to turn his head around 180 degrees. The hideouts area was much larger in scope than I expected. At the pawn shop, I fell out of the map the second I left the building, but around the hideout is a huge area that you can explore. But I mean, there's nothing out there, but there's no reason this is actually should be able to be walkable. It feels like they had planned to do much more to the game, but then scaled it back. I tried to get out of bounds in the houses that we were robbing, and I was able to do it with a little bit of a twist. The private house, I was actually able to jump over the fence, but only in the re-release. And I thought maybe it's because I was using a car instead of a truck, but there was no way to get more skill points because the game is so broken you really can't get past level 8. In order to get the skill points I would need to get to the truck, I would have to change the way I did my skill tree, and that would involve me replaying the game for a 3rd time. And because I was so curious, that's what I did. To be fair though, it only took me 20 minutes to get back to where I was, and to get the skill tree exactly the way I needed it. I got the truck, and guess what? I just couldn't do it. They must have gotten rid of one of the invisible walls in the re-release, and that's how I broke through. What's even more interesting is that unlike all the other levels, in the re-release they actually made it darker, so I had to use my flashlight in order to see around. And in the original release, it was very easy to see. What's so bizarre is, just like the hideout, this has a ton of area you can walk around in when you're out of bounds. I mean, there's nothing here, but the road actually goes on way longer than you might expect. That was the only house you could break out of, but there was actually one location that had something interesting that I really wanted to break out of bounds in order to see, and it was this. It's the Slender Man, or the Silence from Doctor Who. I don't know. All I know is that it's really not supposed to be there. But after an hour of trying, and I am not kidding on that, I could show all the video, I just gave up. I used the Switch's ability to zoom in, and I could see a little bit more detail, but I really wanted to get out of bounds to see it up close. It's just too bad I couldn't figure out a way to get that done. I did go back to the original release to see if it was there, and yeah, it was. It was just much darker and harder to see. When I started actually looking at the environments closer, I was amazed that they would put it out looking like this. I mean, look at this supermarket. It's just a mismatch of random signs, and very ugly. No store in the world would ever put up something like this. It looks like something that you might find in a dystopian future. Here's the crazy part though. The 2023 game looked way better. Look how clean this is. Sure, the side of the building has a clock, which looks like the model has been taken from an alarm clock, and the time isn't even correct with our wristwatch, but it looks so much better. When you actually get inside the houses, there are so many locked doors, it's insane. The bedrooms, the laundry rooms, and even the bathrooms will be locked. So you're gonna need your simple lockpicks or your complex ones to open them. And then when you do, quite often there will be nothing to steal in there. And also, who locks their baby's room from the outside? Are they worried about them trying to escape? Sometimes the doors will have locks, and sometimes they won't. It changes every time you come. So you might get lucky and not have to unlock a door. But like I said, most of the time, there just won't be anything in there. Other than the darkness, there really isn't that big of a difference between the two versions. I mean, the control scheme is a little bit different. It uses the ZL and ZR buttons to jump and run, when they use the X and Y buttons in the original game. They actually added music to the new version, which is the background music that you're listening to. And it was fine. Before, all you heard was the ambiance of all the things around you. Also, the re-release gives you the option of a new game, as the original game didn't have that. In order to start a new game on the original game, you had to use a different account. But there still is only one save file, so be careful if you choose new game. Thief Life Simulator is better than the previous entry, but actually being playable is not that hard of a hurdle to get over. This is the creator's true vision of the game, and it's still as boring as it was when I could only rob 2 places. The inventory system is terrible, the progression system needs an on-screen indicator on what you should steal or not, and you can just feel it cribbing notes from a much better series, and just doing everything worse. Now this is normally $9.99, and it's not even worth it on sale. If you want to play a good version of this game, try the actual Thief Simulator series. Sure, it has issues with crashing, but I hope they fix that by now. This game isn't very good, and it's very repetitive, so I would just skip it.